Welcome back to the channel. This video is a follow-up on my last video talking about target display and using any Mac as a monitor. A lot of people have asked about using their iMac as a secondary monitor to get dual display rather than using it as a mirrored display. So I've put together 5 methods to use any spare computer as a monitor along with some tips and tricks for each. So hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon turned on, and let's get into it. Well, here it is, the ultimate Mac as a secondary monitor guide. I've broken this down into 5 methods based on what you're trying to connect. One method may be better than another, so make sure you watch to the end of this video to find the most universal method that even works with game consoles. If you need any cables or adapters that I've used in this video, check out the affiliate links in the description below, which will also support this channel if you end up making a purchase. Method 1, target display. This is mostly a recap from the last video, but for a completeness of this ultimate guide, I wanted to go over this again. This is Apple's official system for connecting an iMac as a secondary monitor to another Mac. There are effectively 2 different target display systems. Let's start with the legacy version, which applies to 24-inch and 27-inch iMacs from 2009 to 2010. These iMacs are the only ideal Macs to use as monitors. Despite what Apple claims the limitations are, they directly accept any standard DisplayPort signal as input. Any device which outputs a DisplayPort signal should work with these iMacs. Even though you can find cheap passive adapters which convert an HDMI plug to a DisplayPort plug, these will not work to input HDMI into your iMac. These adapters will only connect a DisplayPort signal source, like a computer, to an HDMI monitor, not the other way around. To connect an HDMI source, like a game console, to a DisplayPort iMac, you will need to get the more expensive active adapter, which converts the physical plug and the signaling from HDMI to DisplayPort signals. In 2011 iMacs up to late 2014, Apple used a newer Thunderbolt version of target display. Although the plug looks the same, this is a Thunderbolt plug, not a mini DisplayPort plug like earlier iMacs. These iMacs have some very real and very annoying limitations. The largest being that the iMac needs to be running High Sierra or earlier, and your main Mac needs to be from 2019 or earlier, running Catalina or earlier. It may be practical to roll your iMac back to High Sierra if you're only using it as a display, but for daily driving old versions of macOS on your other main system, this is extremely impractical if you want to use it online. And unfortunately, unlike specs for the 2009 and 2010 systems, the limitations for the 2011 onward seem to be pretty accurate. I haven't tested it myself, but anyone trying to run anything newer says it either doesn't work or it's really buggy. From the posts I've read, people say that Apple Silicon Macs outright will not work with 2011 to 2014 iMac target display. Method 2, AirPlay. We talked about this before too, and my thoughts have changed slightly on this. You see, the performance of this really is determined by both Macs being used and the network connection between them. If you're using newer Macs with a decent Wi-Fi connection, the AirPlay function becomes a lot more acceptable, even though not perfect for video type uses. One thing I hadn't considered before was using a wired Ethernet connection to connect both Macs. Using a USB to Ethernet adapter on this MacBook provides a gigabit connection between the two and makes a noticeable improvement in frame rate and image quality. It also prevents network congestion on the main network, which could reduce internet speeds. No matter how you spin it though, it's not a perfect solution. There will always be some lag, and both computers will be using significant processing power during large movement and video playing on the screen. For mostly static work like email and web browsing, documents, this solution is pretty solid. Even for some light video playback, it's really not bad if both Macs have decent specs and a wired connection. Setting up AirPlay is pretty simple. Just go to Settings, search for AirPlay Receiver and enable it. On your main Mac, you'll just need to go to the display settings and then connect the additional display. Accept the invite from on your iMac screen and you're basically linked up. Apple lists the officially supported Macs for AirPlay Receiver, but significantly more are supported through unlocking with the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. I've talked about the OpenCore Legacy Patcher in other videos like the 2012 iMac video if you want to look more in depth into that. Before building OpenCore, make sure you visit the advanced settings and enable feature unlock. This will also unlock Sidecar if you have an iPad which is supported for it. Some really old Macs will not support this without a Wi-Fi card upgrade, even if the unlocker is enabled. Basically, if you can successfully use AirDrop, then AirPlay Receiver should also work. Oh, and now is a great time for me to remind you to make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon turned on. Method 3, Mac Screen Sharing Workaround. If your Mac is too old to support AirPlay Receiver or you don't want to patch your system with OpenCore, this is probably the most universal way to get an AirPlay-like experience on an unsupported Mac without any software hacks. Although you can certainly do this over Wi-Fi, I would certainly recommend a dedicated Ethernet link between the two computers. We're going to use the official macOS built-in screen sharing utility, which can be enabled in your main Mac via the sharing section of your settings dialog. Next, you will need to connect the HDMI dummy plug on your Mac. This plug is a virtual monitor, so your Mac will believe it has a second monitor connected. With your virtual monitor connected, you will now be able to use your second monitor, Mac, to connect via screen sharing to the virtual screen. Before connecting, it is important to know that whatever your screen resolution is set to on your monitor Mac, that's the one you're using as a screen, will need to match your virtual screen on your main Mac, which is the one that is set by the dummy plug. After remotely connecting your monitor Mac, your secondary Mac, it will show all monitors and you will simply need to switch to whichever is the second virtual monitor. Make sure that scaling is turned off and make sure that you set adaptive quality for the smoothest experience. Now you can enter full screen and use it like a monitor. If the whole screen doesn't fit or your virtual screen is inside of a black box, it means you didn't correctly match the resolution settings between your monitor Mac and your virtual screen dummy plug resolution. Remember, it's not the screen's native resolution, it's the resolution you have macOS set to currently. Method 4, Sunshine and Moonlight. You may be thinking this is the same as what we talked about before, but now we're talking about using the Mac as a second monitor to the PC, not a mirrored main display. First though, we'll need to get a second virtual screen. This works very similar like it did in the last video, except you're going to need some changes to the parameters in order to capture the extended screen instead of the main screen. Okay, so with your Sunshine server installed and configured, to get the second screen working, all you need to do is go to the troubleshooting section and figure out what the ID number is of your virtual dummy plug monitor. I see it here and can confirm that this is the correct virtual monitor name for the dummy plug that's identified. Copy this string here, including the curly braces, and go over to the configuration section. Here's where you paste the string and to tell Sunshine to use the dummy plug monitor instead of your main one, which is Sunshine's default. Just a tip here, despite Sunshine telling you it applied the settings already and restarted Sunshine, you will actually need to reboot Windows entirely for it to fully apply the settings. If you watched the previous video, you'll be familiar with the Moonlight client on the iMac already. Before anything else, set the resolution settings to whatever your resolution on the second computer is actually running, and set the frames to 60 frames per second for smooth operation. Now just connect Moonlight and you're ready to go. Again, you'll have to set your resolution in Windows to match the resolution of your second computer, in this case the iMac. Unlike the Mac screen sharing, Moonlight will work with the wrong resolution, but it will result in either black bars or a black box, or it'll be stretched with a grainy image. You should ideally be using this on a dedicated wired Ethernet connection between the two, again, so you will have high performance, high bandwidth for video and reduce network congestion on your main network. If you decide to connect via Wi-Fi, you may need to reduce the resolution, frame rate, or bit rate in order to get acceptable video quality. Again, using Sunshine and Moonlight will obviously consume some system resources, but it can deliver exceptional results depending on your hardware. And because Moonlight is open source, you can run it on a number of different devices, including tablets and some smart TVs. Have you gotten some useful ideas so far? Hit that like button below and make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon turned on. Method 5, HDMI. This is probably the most universal method to use on an iMac or other computer as a monitor. For this, you'll need a USB HDMI Capture device. This method will work on Windows 2. You'll just need to use a different capture application like VLC or similar. On Mac, I'm going to use QuickTime. Launch QuickTime, hit File, then New Recording. You don't actually record anything. This is just to bring up the live feed. By default, you will be getting FaceTime camera. Make sure you hit the arrow beside the record button and choose the USB capture device for both audio and video. If you want to use HDMI sound, you'll need to make sure you unmute and adjust the volume level as desired. Now just switch to full screen and you're ready to go. Keep in mind, for optimal image quality, you'll again want to set your main screen's secondary monitor resolution to match the iMac or whatever computer you're using's screen resolution. There is some latency here, but the biggest benefit of all of this is that the secondary computer bears all the burden of video processing. From your main computer's perspective, this is a normal HDMI monitor, so it's not going to impact your main system's performance in any way. How well this works is going to be mostly dependent on your resolution and secondary computer specs. This will never be lag-free either. There will be lots of input lag. Unlike other methods, this method will work with game consoles as well. I'm not a gamer by any means, but connecting an Xbox 360, I was satisfied enough to play around with it. For casual entertainment, I'd be perfectly satisfied with this, but I suspect the input lag would be a deal breaker for anyone doing competitive gaming. It's really definitely noticeable.
Sorry, I forgot to add this before, and now I'm losing my voice. But just wanted to make note that the screensaver is going to come on unexpectedly. So what you need to do is either disable the screensaver or set up hot corners and set it so that when your mouse is in the bottom left corner or one of the corners of the screen, it disables the screensaver.
So those are all the methods I found to use your secondary computer as a monitor. I want to make an important note here though. Make sure that if you're using any screen sharing method, whether it be Apple's own, the Sunshine and Moonlight combo, or something else entirely, that you make sure your computers are at minimum behind a router with private IP address and built-in firewall enabled. Enabling any sort of screen sharing on your computer opened up with a public IP address and no firewall will make it a target for hackers. The Sunshine Moonlight combo is designed to be used over the internet, so if you're going to do this, make sure you've properly configured your inbound connections, firewalls, and all the pertinent settings to the Sunshine server. So, which of these methods did you find best? Comment down below and tell me what you thought, or if you've actually tried any of these. And make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon turned on. Also, it's super helpful in growing this channel when you share these videos with friends or anybody you think might find it useful. Thanks so much for watching. Stay curious, keep tinkering, and until next time, happy retro computing, everyone.